Well, hello all you wonderful people out there in the YouTube land. This is a Texas Special. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I hope you like what you see. I hope you hit that like and subscribe button. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, I thank you for the support you've given the channel. I've got the best viewers on YouTube. I don't care what anybody says. You guys rock. Now, I'm here with my buddy Bob. We're here at the Hearne Depot Museum in Hearne, Texas, at the confluence of the Union Pacific's Austin, Hearne, and I believe Fort Worth subs. As a matter of fact, right over that way, maybe 50, 60 yards, is the actual diamond where all those tracks come together. But I digress. Mr. Bob, you mind telling us a little bit about it?
We're here in Hearne, which is called the Crossroads of Texas. And that's not because of the highways, because the railroads were here way before the highways, the roads were here. You have originally the old Houston and Texas Central Railroad out of Houston that was started in the 1850s. It made it here in 1869, and that's when Hearne started. There was no Hearne here. There were some farmers out here named Hearne. They gave the railroad the land for a town, so they named the town after them. We just celebrated this last weekend our 150th anniversary as a town. But the railroad got here first, and the railroad did it all this because of Hearne's location. Even today, the rail crews operating out of Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, and Longview in their day in this area will spend the night here, and in an ideal situation would go back the next day. Of course, it never works that way, but it's still very much a railroad community. We used to have a 10-stall roundhouse and turntable, a car repair shed, an icing rack, and I think some other things I can't think of right now. The depot is all that is left, and it was about to be torn down in the 1990s, and the ladies of the Hearne Heritage Society got over there and saved the building. UP said, you can have this old building, we don't want it, but you got to get it up off of our property. So they actually got money, grant money, to pick the whole building up and to sit it 600 yards here on the other side of the road on city property. And then they restored it back to its original. And it's pretty much back to the original condition, the painting, the walls and everything. You've got the waiting rooms, you've got a baggage room, and you've got the dispatch office, the office where they dispatch the trains through here for years. Originally there was a tower here, and they tore the tower down in the 1930s and relocated the interlocker in the dispatch room. So they did the interlocking, controlling the lights in the track in there also. And that can be seen through the dispatch windows. But we have a lot of exhibits, a lot of memorabilia here. We have things about the icing rack. We have a lot of oil cans, and we're very kid friendly. We let the children run these trains. You'll be able to see we have a model train, an in-track layout here that originally was built by the New Braunfels Model Railroad Club. They didn't use it anymore, and we've got it from them. We bought it, a friend of mine bought it, and we've set it up and restored it. It's a work in progress, but it is running, and we let kids run trains, and they love seeing the train running that they're in charge of. But a lot of different things here. Icing rack is the main exhibit. We tell people about how they used to ice down trains and refrigerator trains and carry the produce and the meat in specially built cars that had to be iced down about every 30 hours. And a number of other exhibits right offhand. I can't think of what all, but help me.
I can see you got a lot of publications and some model train exhibits and detailing the different sizes and scales of model trains. As you can hear in the background there, after you check out the museum, if you are a rail fan, which if you are watching this channel you probably are, there is plenty of trains that go by right across the street. So plenty to do in Hearne. And what are your hours of operation and cost of admission, sir?
There's no cost, it's free. We are open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 11 to 4. And I neglected to say, the depot was built originally where the old Missouri Pacific crossed the old Southern Pacific track. It was built between those where they crossed over as a passenger depot for both railroads in 1901. So it's a 120-year-old building, and it's really a neat building. I've talked with a guy who is an expert on depots. He's actually done a book on depots and said he's never seen anything like this one. And he's in California, but he knew about the Hearne Depot. So it's something to come look at. We do have a viewing platform, a very nice, large viewing platform where you can sit and watch the trains out there. There's a post right beside it with electricity, so you can plug in there, and invite you to come by.
Also, you do have the hand cart out front.
Yes, and it does work. Now, we have it chained up, but it does work. We just restored that, and we played with it going back and forth, and it's not fun. It's hard work.
It sounds like a great way to wear the kiddos out, though, for the drive home.
Yeah, because of liability, we have to keep it chained, but we do have the key to the locks.
Fair word of warning. There is a stuffed rattlesnake in here,
Somewhere.
and it almost got me. So, fair warning. But definitely worth a visit. I'm going to walk around here and get some good footage of these model railroads running. They do have the wooden push trains for the little hands, for the little kiddos to play with as well. But there's just a bunch of cool stuff in here, and I'm going to walk around and see what all I can get on film before my camera dies. So thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoy the content.
We would love to have you visit us. The two railroads I love because I grew up with, but people that come here want to see what they see. So I've had to break down and buy some UP. Through the tunnel and around the curve on the other side. put a sign up for people to knock, and I didn't see them. And one day you have this side door that there's no lock on it. But I leave something in it so I can get back in, and I walked out. Didn't have my keys in my pocket, locked myself out. Oh, I just called my wife and filled my pockets. I didn't have my cell phone. Look in the window and it's sitting on the desk. So I was stuck here. Is it recording sound?
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I started here about 2 years ago. Before that, we both worked one day a week on rail crews. We may have driven you if you were here then.
Nah, I wasn't there at the time.
So, I just worked Saturdays, and I was having so much fun doing it. She decided she'd do it on, and Friday came open, so she did Friday from 8 to 8, and I did Saturday 7 to 7. But I took crews back to Houston several times when I first started doing long haul. In Inglewood, man, I wanted to just sit there and watch the hump yard. There are some good little towns around Bryan. Vidice, Iola, Milliken, that I would think you might could find a piece of property. You thinking of building?
Mm.
This friend of mine who owns the layout just sold his place in Austin and moved to Rockdale. Found a place out in the country in Rockdale where he was. Hearne Depot. We have a big area for an old train layout. Are you familiar with Marks?
Yes.
I bought this, I think at the Houston show. It's one of the first model railroad sets, 1935. I didn't know all this about Marks.
They were the poor man's Lionel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted a model train set back in the 50s and 40s, but you didn't quite have the money for Lionel, then that was your option right there.
American
Marks.
Flyer and Marks. But Marks, I was glad they decided not to throw it away.
So this is the children's area of the museum.
Yeah.
You've got the requisite play table with the wooden trains. For the adults or older children, they have the ATCS screen showing what is lined up to go which direction.
And another thing I show children is the telegraph, and have them play with this and explain to them how important the telegraph was to the country in communication. I mean, we take so much for granted today with our cell phones and our computers, and back then this is all they had, and it was revolutionary because all of a sudden they could communicate immediately, and the railroads loved it because they could keep up with where their trains were. So many of your Western Union stations or Western Union offices were in the depot. This was one in here. This was for the Hearne. This was the Western Union office as well as the dispatch office.
So everyone, at least in Texas anyway, is familiar with the concept of the Six Flags over Texas. Well, this is a similar concept. For those of you that don't know, the Six Flags over Texas is not a theme park. It is, but that's not where it comes from. It's the 6 national flags that are flown over Texas at any given point in time during its history. Well, this is a similar concept. You've got the railroad logos of all the railroads that have served Hearne, Texas at any given point in time. All the way over to the right is the Southern Pacific lineage, and all the way over to the left side of the UP Herald is the Missouri Pacific lineage, and of course, those people.
I just hated that they put a halt on that big yard in Monkey. Same place all the time and decided that I would stop and see what was in it. And they react very positively. Another thing the kids love. Teach them about this steam whistle right here. tell you about it?
Yes, sir.
Uh, This steam whistle came off of a steam engine, but for here, this steam whistle was on top of this cotton compress building. You see the tall smokestack. There's a little pipe to the right of it. This steam whistle is on the end of that pipe, and every day would blow at 8, 12, and 5 o'clock, and you could hear it all over town. I don't know when they tore the building down, sometime in the 90s, 1990. And I was glad they saved the steam whistle and got it here.